Are these jokes lame? This which I call parody would from any other brain be twice the laugh. Nah, screw it. I'm doing it anyway. Welcome to the third episode of Shakespeare Said What? The show that dives into one aspect of a piece of Shakespeare's work so that we can understand what he was talking about. This week, there's no funny business because I'm talking about comedy. Jazz hands. I, forsooth, in love. I, that have been love's whip, a very beadle to a humorous sigh, a critic, nay, a night-watch constable, a domineering pedant, or the boy than whom no mortal so magnificent. This wimpled, whining, purblind, wayward boy, this senior, junior, giant dwarf, Dan Cupid, regent of love rhymes, lord of folded arms, the anointed sovereign of sighs and groans, liege to all loiterers and malcontents, dread prince of blackets, king of codpieces, sole imperator, and great general to all trotting paradors. And I to be a corporal of his field and wear his colors like a tumbler soup? Ugh. My little heart. What? I sigh, I sue, I seek a wife? A woman that is like a German clock, still a repairing, ever out of frame, being a watch, but being watched, that it may still go right. Nay, to be perjured, which is worst of all, and among three to love the worst of all? A whitely wanton, with a velvet brow, and two pitch balls stuck in her face for eyes. And one that will do the deed, though Argus were her eunuch and her guard. And I to sigh for her, to watch for her, to pray for her. It is a plague that Cupid will impose for my neglect of his almighty dreadful little might. Well, I will sigh, pray, sue, love, groan. Some men must love my lady, and others Joan. Comedy, yay! This week I want to talk about a little chunk of text from this monologue that starts with this wimpled, whining, purblind, wayward boy, and ends with, and I to be a corporal of his field and wear his colors like a tumbler soup. So, on the surface of this, Barone, this is Love's Labour's Lost, a little bit of context. Basically, what's just happened is he has convinced all of his friends that they should never fall in love, and they make a bet to see who can last the longest without falling in love, and instead focusing on gaining knowledge and wisdom, because those are manly and honorable pursuits. And then slowly, throughout the course of the play, they all fall in love. Duh, it's a comedy, it's about love, that's how things work. So, this monologue occurs right after Barone has sent a letter to his loved one, and, or the woman that he's fallen in love with, confessing his love to her. So, this little chunk, the monologue is all about him being like, I can't believe that I am in love, this is ridiculous. And this little chunk seems to be like he is yelling at Cupid. He is saying, how could you do this to me? Very classic man, put the blame on something else, right? If you know men, you know that happens. However, Shakespeare likes to do a fun little thing in which he is a master of innuendo. Something that I discovered as I began my journey in exploring Shakespeare is, especially in the comedies, but this does apply to the tragedies sometimes, but a lot in the comedies, if you can't figure out what something is saying or talking about, try to think of it sexually in a naughty way. I know that might be a little intense, but it'll actually often unlock it for you. So, What if instead of him talking about Cupid, he is actually talking about the other brain men have? I'll give you some examples. This senior junior. It's wrinkled, it's not wrinkled. Giant dwarf. It's big, it's small. Dan Cupid, named Cupid. The love organ that is associated with men most of the time is not their heart. I will just say that. So, to me, this monologue is a man who is cursing his other brain, his little brain, the one that is below the belt. He has rightly figured out the difference between heart and love, as they say. And so he's yelling at his love organ for leading him astray and failing him as a man. And this is really fun because I don't think this is a stance that a lot of people take when they're talking about this. You know, obviously people shame men for thinking with it instead of thinking with their heart or their brain. But it's rare that you see a man actually yelling at himself for doing that. And specifically in Shakespeare, virility is a really positive thing. So it's funny that he's actually self-shaming because of his virility. And I just think that's such a fun thing in this monologue. If you have other examples from it or smaller things from it, so that's what I wanted to talk about this week. If you have any thoughts on that or ideas or why he's actually talking about Cupid and not about that, why I just have a messed up brain and shouldn't be thinking about it this way, please tell me, inform me in the comments. Cricket Cinderella accurately identified the quote from last week's parody. If you can get this week's, I'll shout you out again. Thank you for watching my videos. I can't wait to do the next one with you. Had a blast with this one. Comedy! And I'll see you next time. Ba-dum.